yeah, marriage is hard. Marriage is hard. I don't judge you if you have failed in this area, because it's harder than they told us it was going to be.
I try to do the best I can, try to be considerate.
Welcome back. My name is Nikki Schumacher. I am practically imperfect in every way, and this community seeks to encourage you to love your families practically and imperfectly. You have come to the right place. It's no coincidence that you clicked on this video. I'm linking an awesome playlist below. This is a collaboration with some amazing other ladies. Most of them are probably way more mentally stable than I am. They're gonna give you some great encouragement, and I'm gonna link the playlist below. If you're struggling in your marriage or you've been divorced, I'm definitely not judging you. God loves you. He does not hate divorced people. Even though I have been married for about a decade now, I've been in love with my husband for 16 years. I know that I have been blessed, and I know that maybe you've been through some things that I haven't been through. One of my favorite analogies ever is life is like a game of solitaire. You have to play the hand that you have been dealt. So I just want you to know, anything I say here today, it can and will be used against me. No, just kidding. I just want you to know I don't judge you for anything that you've done, and I don't know your situation, but I'm just going to try to share some encouragement for your marriage today. And I pray that it helps you. I pray that it helps someone out there. And please let me know if it does. I believe Lori Brumfield has hosted this collab. There are some other awesome mamas that I just love. Joyful Homemaker, I love her channel. It's so encouraging. Esther of Matt and Est is also making a video. A lot of my favorite YouTubers. So go ahead and binge on that if you need encouragement in your marriage. And let's get started. I'm talking about ways that you can guard your marriage today. Guard your marriage. Guard means that this is something that has to be protected and it's under attack. Guard your marriage. These are safeguards. This is like a fence, a moat, an alarm system. These are things that will guard something that is very precious. Much more precious than anything material is your marriage. How much more so should we guard it? So first of all, I'm just going to share a verse with you that was actually at my wedding, and it's not going to sound like the most encouraging verse at face value, but it really does give me courage to fight for my marriage. Malachi 2:14 and following. Yahweh stands as a witness between you and the wife of your youth, against whom you have been unfaithful, even though she's your marriage partner and your wife by covenant. And what does the one God desire? An offspring of God. You must be attentive to your spirit, and you must not be unfaithful to the wife of your youth. For I hate divorce, says Yahweh, the God of Israel, and he who covers his clothing with violence, says Yahweh of hosts. You must be attentive to your spirit, and you must not be unfaithful. I do just want to point out, God said that he hates divorce. He does not hate the divorced person. I think we all know that divorce really hurts. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Because God hates divorce, that doesn't mean he hates you if you've been divorced. So you're going through a tough season in your marriage. Let me guess, you've had hardship. You've had a miscarriage. You've lost a child. You've had health issues. You've had financial issues. Or you've had a pregnancy. You've had postpartum depression. You've had any number of very significant emotional events in your life. Once again, I'm not speaking to any abusive situation. If you are being beaten, cheated on, I'm not speaking to that. I'm speaking to the normal person who is flawed and is married to another flawed individual who is not perfect but isn't abusive. This is what I'm talking to. I don't have the pay grade to talk to the abusive situations. Those situations, I beg you to get help. I beg you to get professional help. I beg you to do something to change that situation. But I'm talking to the average individual, and I do mean average because statistics prove that the average split in a marriage is not an abuse situation. It's over differences of opinion. The first thing I beg you, please do not make any major decisions during trial or tragedy. That is not the time to make significant decisions in your life. If you just had a baby and you're thinking of leaving your spouse, that is not the time to make an emotional decision about that. If you just had a family member pass away, if you just had any significant trial or tragedy in your life, please do not trust yourself to make a significant emotional decision right now. The heart is deceitful. The heart is deceitful. You have to guard the sanctity of marriage. And the reason we have to guard marriage, like Malachi talks about, typically you have to guard things because they're under attack. Yeah, marriage is hard. Marriage is hard. I don't judge you if you have failed in this area, because it's harder than they told us it was going to be. Just realize that you're under attack. It's you and him against the world. It's not you against him. It's not him against you. It's you and him against the world. These trials and tragedies that you've gone through, it's you and him against those things. Marriage is attacked through these trials and tragedies, and this is not the time to let the enemy win. Number 2, your time budget. Do you have too many hobbies outside of your spouse that they can't be involved in? How many hours after work, hobbies, and church do you have left for your spouse? This might step on some toes. When we first got married about a decade ago, we looked at our life, and outside of work, we were in church like every single night of the week, which I think there's a time and place for that, and it's great. But as newly married couple, we were like, when are we supposed to have time for each other? Even have time for, I don't know how to put this lightly, but if you're in church every single night of the week, or you're playing softball, or you're in a bowling league, or you have some kind of hobbies outside of your spouse, I think your plate is overfull. If you're not having time to even have sex, then your plate is overfull. And that was just something that we didn't want to happen our first couple of years of marriage. And so even though we're highly involved in our church, and we got a lot of flack for this from people, but we decided not to make church an idol, but to put our marriage actually before church, and in this way put God first. We actually really cut down on our church activities. We went on Sunday, and we went on like Wednesday or Thursday night or something. We just didn't want to be those people that lose their marriage because they're so busy with hobbies. I hope that comes across right. I'm not saying don't go to church, but I'm just saying, like, you're spending 10 to 20 hours a week on a hobby that your spouse can't be involved in, and you're struggling. This might be something that you think about. Anything that you're going to be good at takes time. If you want to be good at marriage, you need to put time into it. So often we put time into things we want to be good at, like learning to play piano or play softball or lead worship at church. Maybe you're in a community theater. You put time toward that because you want to be good in it, but we don't set aside any time to be good at the things that are the most important in life, which has to do with spiritual, physical, personal, relational, job, business, finance. We can't find time for our spouse. We can't find time to work out. We can't find time to spend with our kids, but we have time for these hobbies. So that's just something I want to throw out there. Number 3 is books. How many books on the subject of marriage have you read? I highly suggest Love and Respect by Dr. Emerson Eggerichs. I also suggest Your Personality Tree by Florence Littauer. I suggest reading a book about marriage all the time. Every month or so, read another book about marriage. But, you know, if I've read all these fiction books and I haven't read one book on marriage, where does that say my priorities lie? So I would say always be reading a book about marriage, like every month, twice a month, depending on, you know, your reading level. And if you're not a good reader, audiobooks are the way to go. Number 1, no major decisions during trial or tragedy. Number 2, look at your time budget. Number 3, look at your books. Number 4, and this is the most important one, consider the gravity of your decisions. I watched a TED Talk, and I've also read some science articles. I will link the TED Talk below. The science articles I read so long ago, I don't think I'll be able to find them. There are so many statistics that prove that divorce is a traumatic experience for children. Traumatic. And it's not just a traumatic experience, it increases their likelihood of getting just about every disease, including heart disease, cancer. Children who've been through traumatic experiences are 4 times more likely to experience depression. They are more likely to be incarcerated, to commit suicide. And just knowing that our actions, and no judgment, I'm not judging you. I am not perfect. I'm highly flawed. If if you knew the sins in my life, you would know that God is gracious. For me, I'm highly encouraged by facts, information, statistics, and just knowing divorce is highly traumatic for children. It's on the list up there with like physical abuse for a child. It is that traumatic to where they grow up and they're more likely to have diseases. I'm not trying to like scare you or anything. Like, I'm a child of divorce and I love my parents. They're amazing. But it was traumatic. Not that you can't get through it if you've been through a divorce or your children have been through a divorce, but I'm just saying, if you are considering that, if you're on the brink of that, if you think you can't hold on, just consider these facts. And if it's not an abusive situation, it's just like you're not happy, consider others are more important than yourself. And I know that that's going to come across harsh. All I'm saying is consider the gravity of your decision. That encourages me to fight for my marriage and to guard my marriage. And like I said, I feel like I have to put so many disclaimers on this because I love you. I suck in so many ways. Just because I've never been through a divorce does not mean that I'm better than you. It just means, you know, I met the right mentors at the right time. It means maybe I married a good man that is easier to stay married to. I'm not judging you. Andrew and myself are both very flawed individuals, and every one of us has sinned. So I am not judging you. I love you. I just hope that you know I love you. I hope you know God loves you. And this verse and these tips are just to encourage you. Gather your courage, fight for your marriage. It is worth fighting for. Here's why I believe I have authority on the subject. It's not because I've been in love with my husband for 16 years. It's not because we've been married for 10 years. It's not because I've experienced divorce and know how traumatic that is for children. Here's where I believe my authority lies. I have volunteered with elderly folks. I've either volunteered or been in a paid position of some sort. They have shared so much wisdom with me about why they're glad they held on to their marriage or why they're sorry that they didn't fight for their marriage. They've given me so much advice, and many of them have said to me that, you know, those hard times that you go through in marriage, such as a miscarriage or just honestly just pregnancy and not having a village around us, it's really hard. Many of them have shared that butterflies come and go, but a lot of times they had gone through really hard times in their marriage when they felt like giving up, and then here comes year 25. They felt like giving up at year 19 or 20, and at year 25 all these butterflies just came flooding back because this is a person that you've been with for the last 25 years. You've experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows with this one person. And many of them in their old age right now, they are watching their grandkids get divorced and they're saying, gosh, they don't know what they're missing, because here I am in the old folks home or wherever they're living, and I have this person with me in my old age, and it's so beautiful. You wouldn't believe the stuff that they went through, the things that they had to forgive each other for, things that today most people would walk out for. And yet here they stand at the end of that saying, yeah, it was worth it to fight for it, because here I have this person with me right now, just this companion in my old age. And it's a really beautiful thing. I count that a blessing that I've had the privilege of talking to so many 100-year-old, 90-year-old, 80-year-old people about marriage, and I just figure they have more experience than all of us, so I should probably take into consideration some of their thoughts and opinions. I hope you found that encouraging. I love you. You are good. You are precious. Grace and peace.